Everyone says St. Lucia is insanely expensive, with luxury resorts, private tours, and thousands of dollars for one trip. And honestly, that's not wrong. It can get really expensive really fast. But what if I told you we did helicopter transfers, private tours, jet skiing, and stayed for a full week for way less than you'd expect? In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how we planned this trip, what everything cost, and a few mistakes we made along the way so you can do it smarter. And I'm not gonna lie, the final numbers surprised even us. I'll break down every dollar and reveal the total at the end. Let's start with getting there, because flights can make or break your budget. We booked our Delta flight from Chicago about 4 months in advance, $550 per person. Normally, flights like this are around $900 to $1,200, so booking early and being flexible saved us money. Sometimes an early morning flight costs hundreds less than a later one. With flights squared away, the next question was, how do we get to our accommodation? Because driving in St. Lucia can be very stressful with their windy roads. So instead of doing the long drive from the airport, we booked a helicopter transfer through Island Taxi to the north side of the island. The ride was only about 10 to 15 minutes, but the views were unbelievable. Because we landed later in the day, we also paid a little extra to skip the immigration line. The total for the helicopter transfer came to $578.06. But flying over the island like that felt like something only celebrities do, but we did it without blowing the budget. Once we arrived in Margot Bay, it was time to settle into our accommodations and see how we could live like we were living in a luxury resort without the insane price tag. We stayed at an Airbnb in Margot Bay for $1,480.04 for 7 days. That is $211 per night. It had a pool, a balcony with ocean and marina views, and it was a super good location. There are restaurants right by the marina as well as a coffee shop, and you're able to get to more restaurants and a grocery store via transport within 10 to 20 minutes. In comparison, Zoruchi Margot Bay is a boutique resort just a 10-minute walk away from our Airbnb. It costs $500 to $900 a night, and we had the same beach access as them. Staying in Margot Bay gave us comfort, amazing views, and a perfect base for exploring without the insane price tag. With our home base set, we were ready to explore the island and experience the adventure St. Lucia is known for. One of the activities we did was the Tet Paul Nature Trail Tour. We paid $110 per person, and it included a pickup and a drop-off from our Airbnb, a guided hike, sulfur mud baths, and a buffet-style lunch with terrace views of the pitons. The hike was amazing. We got to see gorgeous scenery and see the pitons up close and take plenty of photos with them. And our guide, he made it very educational, explaining the history, culture. Then we were taken to the sulfur mud baths, and that was really cool. Although we didn't go in the actual mud baths, you can actually get in, cover yourself in the warm mineral-rich mud, and rinse it off. Lunch was included, and it was buffet style with fresh local dishes. The food was honestly incredible. If we had tried to do this all separately, it would have cost more just in transport alone. It would be around $250 round trip from Margot Bay and back. And lunch for two would have easily been another $80 to $100+. So we definitely saved money by doing an activity like this. After the tour, we asked our tour driver to drop us off at Sugar Beach so we could spend the rest of the day there. But later, when it was time to head back, we actually couldn't find a ride through Alez, which is the main local rideshare app. But thankfully, our Airbnb host connected us with a local driver who got us safely back to Margot Bay for $70 cash one way. So my tip for you is, if you need a longer ride than 30 minutes, like from Sugar Beach back to Margot Bay or wherever it may be, definitely pre-plan your transport. Alez doesn't always have drivers available for longer distances, so having a host or a scheduled driver can save a lot of stress. With that adventure behind us, we were ready for something fast-paced such as jet skiing. We booked jet skiing in Rodney Bay for $150 total for 1 hour for both of us. We got a quick safety rundown, and then we were free to right along the coastline. Sometimes booking in person allows for negotiating for extra time or a slightly better price, so if you're able to do that or you spot a jet ski on the beach, definitely try to negotiate. On another day, we did a semi-private boat transfer from Margot Bay to Sugar Beach and Chestnut for $250 round trip, with just one other couple on the boat. We spent about 2 hours at Sugar Beach and 1 hour at Chestnut, which felt like a perfect mix of relaxing and exploring. The ride itself was so amazing. We got to see the turquoise water, the hidden coves. By land, the drive from Margot Bay to Sugar Beach would have taken us about 60 minutes each way on narrow, winding roads. So taking the boat was faster, more relaxing, and gave us scenic views the whole way. And we can't forget to talk about food. Food and drinks can sneakily eat up your budget if you're not being careful. Restaurants sell bottled water for $8, which would have added up to over $200 for the week. We stocked up at the grocery store and kept bottles in the fridge, and we would just bring it with us to the beach or the restaurants, which kept us from spending money on water. We're not big breakfast people, so we kept it simple for breakfast. We would usually just have granola bars or bagels from the grocery store and spend most of our budget on lunch and dinner. But lunch and dinner can definitely get pricey. For example, at Sugar Beach, we had 2 burgers, 2 fries, and 2 drinks, and the total was $111.60. And we also ate in a restaurant in Margot Bay called Roots 2, which was actually featured on Netflix, and the meal came out to $122. So food definitely isn't cheap in St. Lucia, but if you pre-plan which restaurants you want to try and you bring snacks and water for the day, you can definitely save a lot without missing out on amazing local cuisine. On our last day, we did a boat transfer from Margot Bay to the airport for $293 instead of a car. It ended up being the same price as a land transfer, but we got to see the island from the water one last time. The crew handled our luggage and provided us free drinks and snacks, a perfect way to say goodbye to St. Lucia. So with food, accommodations, tours, and activities in mind, let's break down the total cost of our trip. Flights $1,100, Airbnb $1,480, helicopter $578.06, Tadpole tour $220, jet skiing $150, the boat to the beaches $250, boat transfer to the airport $293, food $700, and our Uber transport was $213. So the total for 7 nights is $4,771.06. So yes, St. Lucia is pretty expensive, but instead of spending $6,000 to $10,000 a week at luxury resorts where you barely see the island, we got to explore it fully and experience local life. Staying at a resort would have limited that, since it's an all-inclusive setup where you tend to stay at the property most of the day. It really comes down to knowing what you want to spend on and what you're willing to cut back on. Would you rather stay in a luxury resort or use that budget to explore the whole island? Let me know in the comments and like and subscribe for more.